proprietary.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Bold Inventor Show. I'm your host, JD Houvener, and we're back at it again. We're live every Wednesday, noon Pacific on the West Coast, and at 3 o'clock Eastern. We have a good show today. We've got a nice guest, Zak Green. He's waiting patiently backstage. Just briefly got to meet him. So we'll bring him on in just a few minutes, so hang tight. If you missed us and you want to catch us live, again, that is Wednesdays at 12 noon Pacific at your lunch break. So hop on, check us out. Welcome to join us live. The big benefit there is if you have any questions that come across your mind that are hypothetical in nature, not confidential, you're welcome to bring those to us. Matt and I usually tag team this podcast and the live show. Matt is out today. He's busy today. So he'll be back next week. But I'm JD. I'm the owner and founder and patent attorney here at Bold Patents Law Firm. And this is a fun show that we do weekly, interviewing inventors, some of ours that are clients of Bold, some that are not. Zach, in this case, is not. But he's got some technology he wants to talk about with market prediction and breakthroughs. So no live audience today, but as soon as we do, I want to just remind everyone that this is a live forum, not the place to share confidential information or get legal advice. We're going to be sharing legal information, my knowledge. I may even do a little Q&A here and there if we do have any of those. So any questions that come in from our live audience, we'll prioritize. Questions can be for me or for the guests, so put them on the hot seat. Here's my legal notice here. By attending the live webinar here, you are not becoming a client of Bold Patents unless you already are one, of course. So please don't share any specific invention information here. We're not going to give you any attorney-client privilege. Okay. Hey, Jonathan, good to see you, man. Long time no here. Well, I mean, separately, but it's good to have you here every week. Feel free to plug in any questions or comments. We'll put you to the top of the list. Let's get to our guest without further ado. Zak Green, welcome to the Bold Inventor Show.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'd love to get some background on you, Zak. I mean, you've got a lot. I looked at your profile on LinkedIn, and we did some email exchange, but let's have you kind of share what you've been up to and how you got to founding Veyra.
Sure. I'm born and raised here in Manhattan, where I'm still based now. I was largely in asset management for a little bit more than the last 2 decades. From 2002 on, I led global liquidity businesses. It's a business that's still very near and dear to my heart. If we go back to my first sort of global leadership role, a company called Reserve Management. Interestingly enough, their claim to fame is that they created the world's first money market fund in 1971.
Wow.
They lamented over never patenting it. They brought me in 31 years after they founded it, and for my 5 years there, I heard all about how they lamented not patenting it. So it kind of stuck in the back of my mind, and we'll kind of get back to that a little bit later.
Did they get? I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on history here, but did they get at least a good first mover advantage?
They did. So they got a very good first mover advantage. They did very, very well for a very long time.
Excellent. Well, that's good to hear. For those that, I mean, I'm not a big money, financial guy. I mean, what are some of the newer, I guess, ways to invest these days? Maybe we can start with that. Some kind of newer, exciting ways, apart from kind of money market or just traditional IRAs and advisors.
They're crypto-related investments, obviously direct, coins like Bitcoin and Ethereum and Ripple and similar protocols. There for a time, initial coin offerings, ICOs, were very hot. They've largely fallen out of favor. You don't hear about them very much. Now we're seeing some things like tokenized, what's called tokenized money funds, for example. They're not technically 2A7 registered money market funds the way Fidelity, or the way we think of normal money market funds as being. They don't have to adhere to all the same criteria, but in form and substance, they are super safe liquid securities that are all the transactions are put in the blockchain, so they're considered tokenized investments. I think that's probably going to pick up and become larger even than it currently is. It's very nascent now.
Okay. And super safe. I mean, those are pretty, firm words, I guess, So, and to me, a high yield savings account would that be more or less secure than what you're saying is super safe?
About the same. So a money market fund, for those that don't know, is a type of mutual fund, but it's the most regulated and safest and most liquid type of mutual fund. It can only buy securities like government agencies, treasuries, high grade commercial paper, bankers acceptance notes, things like that. And they all have to be very, very short in duration as well. And most of them have at least one AAA rating. Many of them have more than one AAA rating.
Got it. Okay. And in the financial world, there is inventing. So maybe tell us a little about your coming about, this invention or inventions, if you want to share what you can publicly.
Sure. So I'll go back to the impetus for me filing and then subsequently being granted my first of 2 patents. Excuse me. So it happened during my first leadership role at that company I mentioned, Reserve Management, in around 2006, 2007, coming up towards the end of my time with Reserve, I recognized a need in the marketplace. And just by way of background, the actual desk that I built there and my role there was to sell institutional class money market funds and ultra short-term bond funds to the largest institutions around the world. So these would be, your Exxon Mobils and your Soroses and sovereign wealth funds all across Asia and the Middle East, and the largest publics as well at the local and state level. So these are very, very deep-pocketed organizations. And as a result, they had very, very strict investment policy guidelines that they had to adhere to. What would happen would be each money market fund, or each mutual fund of any type for that matter, is often comprised of hundreds of individual securities. And keeping track of those securities is really a Herculean task because portfolio managers are buying and selling them all the time. So if, for example, and this was the case, this was what made me file my first patent. If, for example, a client has an investment policy guideline that restricts certain investments, even if they're allowable by money market fund definitions, the company might have their own personal preferences. Maybe the CFO doesn't have a comfort level for whatever reason.
Exclusions from the portfolio kind of.
Correct. Then it becomes tricky. So a company might have an aversion to any Eurozone exposure. But even though Eurozone exposure is allowable under, Rule 2A7 of the Securities Act of 1940, for example, some funds will have it, some funds won't. Some funds might not have it, and then maybe the client would invest, but then the PM would decide to add that exposure that would make the fund no longer compliant in the eyes of that investor. So I said to myself, wow, this is a real challenge because, this client can be out of compliance. Either the CFO or the treasurer or the treasury director, their job could be at stake and so on and so forth. So I said, I wonder if there's a way to address this. So I set out to create a protocol that would sort of automatically monitor in as close to real time as technology permitted at the holdings level of each of these, not just money market funds, but really any commingled vehicle. The patent language itself allows for, any commingled vehicle of any type, including hedge funds and so on. So my thinking was, and this is an actual sort of language in the patent in style and substance, I wanted to allow an investor to predictate or pre-select the criteria that they needed their investment to adhere to on a go-forward basis. So I'll give you an example. And this would be a very common example. So let's say I'll just use ExxonMobil. Doesn't apply to them, but just for purposes of illustration, let's say they had 3 criteria that their investment policy required in money market funds, for example. Fund has to have at least $5 billion in AUM, fund has to have at least 2 AAA ratings, and fund could not have any Eurozone exposure at all.
Okay.
So then ExxonMobil, let's say they whittle their potential options down to the ones that at this point in time satisfy those criteria.
Okay.
They make their investment. Let's say they invest all $100 million into a Goldman Sachs fund, for example. And as long as that Goldman Sachs fund remains in compliance, as monitored by, let's say, my IP, everything is fine. Obviously, if the client chooses to redeem for yield reasons or any other reasons, he or she can do that. But they wouldn't be automatically redeemed because so long as the fund remains in compliance with those three things. At least $5 billion in size.
Redeemed would mean cashed out, basically, is another word, yeah.
Or, cashed out or transferred to another vehicle. So if, for example, time goes on and there's a compliance issue, three things would then happen. The investor, whoever the investor is on that account, whether it's the treasurer, cash manager, CFO, whomever, would get an email in real time saying, hey, so-and-so rep at ExxonMobil, your investment in the Goldman Sachs fund is no longer compliant due to the following reason or reasons. Now, the reason could be the assets dropped below 5 billion. They lost a rating. Maybe the PM decided to go from 0 Eurozone exposure to 2% Eurozone. It doesn't matter what it is. It'll all be transferred and communicated. That's number one. Number two, that now newly non-compliant investment would be redeemed automatically. Now, that's a risk management feature. Yeah. The idea is to minimize the amount of time that someone is in a fund that is known to now be non-compliant. And number three, and this is kind of the special sauce, those newly redeemed funds are sitting idle on the sidelines. It's good that they're not invested in a non-compliant fund, but they're not earning anything. They're sitting on the sidelines. So what the patents would do is automatically sort of call it re-query the database where all these funds reside and automatically reinvest that newly redeemed 100 million or whatever it ends up being into whatever the top performing fund that still satisfies those initial three criteria. So within the confines of at least 5 billion, at least 2 AAA ratings, and 0 Eurozone exposure, it's going to sharpshoot, the patented technology is going to sharpshoot whatever the top performing fund is.
Wow. And
plug it back in there. So I had initially thought about it as mostly a risk management tool, and then I came to think about it in subsequent years as, let's say, potentially a profit maximization tool as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you for that. And I've got a question from Jonathan. We're going to get you in just a second. I want to make sure we finish this little piece. And this all happened before 2010, I think you were saying?
So yeah, the priority date on my first patent is November 2007, which is about a good, 2-3-ish years prior to the emergence of the so-called robo-advisors, which is now, I think, around 3 or 4 trillion in AUM total and expected to grow with, algorithmic trading and so on.
So were you able to cleanly track any type of commercialization of the patent? Was it just a single patent, or would it grow to a portfolio?
So I got a continuation filed on it, and then I got another one granted as a continuation several years later. So interestingly enough, then I'll get to your question directly, but it was a long haul to get the first one over the finish line.
Sure.
It was close to 5 years. It was a lot of back and forth, and then once that first one, I think the grant came in maybe January 2012 or so, if I remember correctly. And then in 2014, the continuation was granted. So it was a much shorter time for the continuation, but it was a real haul.
Yeah, for sure. And then a huge case, a Supreme Court case in 2014. Alice. So my question is enforcement and infringement, monetization. Let's talk that. Did it ever get litigated or close to?
So Alice, Alice was such a hassle, not just for me, but for the whole industry, for inventors everywhere. And
business methods as well as abstract and computer implemented inventions.
And also kind of a misinterpretation, I think, by many as to what Alice, where the friction really was, but in potential, let's say, IP investors' minds, it didn't really matter. They just wanted to steer clear of it because of maybe optics or because of lack of clarity and so on. So anyway, I'm still troubled by that, as you can tell.
Sure.
So I'll tell you about my patent journey, and it's definitely not conventional. Maybe you can relate to it. I struggled to monetize it for a very long time, and the reason is when one works in financial services for let's say a large multinational company, and one has any sort of leadership role, anything that is at all financial services related is considered an outside business activity and forbidden by the company.
Oh, interesting. Even though you'd independently.
Correct. It didn't matter that I owned it free and clear individually away from any company. I filed it while I was in between companies, just sort of have the belt and suspenders approach. It didn't matter because any amount of time that you're supposedly engaging in an outside business activity that's at all financial services related is expressly forbidden. So I had to largely sit on my hands for many, many years with these patents, and it was quite frustrating. It wasn't until myself and the founder of Veyra put sort of a new set of eyes on this that we figured out an interesting, creative, I think very innovative way to kind of apply these, and I sold them into forming Veyra. They kind of underpin a portion of Veyra's business now.
Got it. So got it. And so did you ever make a determination or seek counsel regarding an infringement? I mean, you mentioned
Sure, I did.
Robo-advisors. I mean, it seems like if it was doing something like that, sort of creating a custom automated, redemption investment type of thing. Did you explore that at all?
I did. I explored it. I essentially got opinions from various attorneys that certainly felt that they were being infringed upon, not just by, let's say, robos, but by others as well.
Yeah.
I had claim charts made to that same effect.
Okay.
And it was a challenge to find, let's say, a talented contingency type lawyer who had enough specific knowledge about this, because this is sort of a little bit esoteric stuff. It's not it's not a slip and fall kind of case or something like that.
Yep.
So it was a challenge. It was hard. Plus, the Alice thing really spooked people. I can't tell you how many opinions I had from attorneys, and how many attorneys would say, Zach, if this was pre-2013, I think I could crush this. It'd be close to open and shut, but I just can't really touch it. The Alice thing really spooked a lot of people.
Got it.
I think it still does, actually.
Fair enough. Well, let's get to our question here. Jonathan's been waiting. He had I think this is a totally separate concept of decentralized yield farming. I've never heard of this. What are your thoughts on that? Platform examples are Curve, Yearn, and Harvest Finance, parentheses called Farm, F-A-R-M.
Unfortunately, Jonathan, I don't have much on that. I have a vague idea of what it means, but it's not something that I have any expertise in.
Okay.
I would want to try to opine and be way off.
No, that's fair. If you've got some maybe more detailed question or an example, Jonathan, plug that in the comments. Okay. So it sounds like it was one of those things that, timing was bad, given that you didn't want to have a conflict of interest with your, employer, financial, leadership position, as well as kind of that major issue risk, if you will, again, on the IP side. If you were to spend a bunch of money and go seek litigation, the other party with any kind of pockets would be able to take it to the P tab and seek it, try to get it axed under Alex. So
right.
Didn't
right.
make
as you know as well as anyone, the invalidation process and cost dropped like a rock. So it ended up being like hardly any friction to try to get a patent invalidated. For years ago, I think years prior to Alice, it was I don't know what the price point was, but sort of well into the six figures, and then it kind of dropped down to $50,000 or something to invalidate a patent. Yeah,
they instituted the patent trial and appeal board with the AIA, and it still exists today. Still controversy about it. A lot of people are upset, and I think rightfully so. Kind of takes it out of the federal courts. in a way. So, but anyway, that whole idea I think is a nice idea, that you've got judges that see patent cases all day, every day, and they're going to make it hopefully quicker, more efficient. But I think it probably hardly feels like having your day in court with just the panel making a go no go call on it. Well, let's see. So we got 8 minutes said. Let's talk about Veyra. We got I share your website for those that are maybe looking at the video now or after the fact. This is Veyra AI. Maybe talk about the name a little bit, how you came up with that.
Yeah. Peter Ashton, who's the CEO of Veyra, came up with the name of it.
Okay.
Loved the name. It initially was an acronym. I think we've sort of moved away from the acronym and what it stood for, and really just felt that it sort of rolled off the tongue nicely, and it evoked the right type of feeling. It felt like Fintech to him and to us.
Yeah.
It felt like innovation in Fintech.
Well, quite the team you've got, for sure.
It's a very good team. It's particularly strong in, let's say, the tech stack. The software development team we have that are extraordinary. Our CTO, Jake, is extraordinary as well. We're very, very lucky. And what they've been able to do with some sort of, with the underpinnings of some legacy technology that really traces its roots back to the 1800s is extraordinary, in my opinion.
1800s?
Yeah, that's when the FFT. That's when the FT, the Fourier transform, was conceived by French mathematician and physicist Joseph Fourier in the early 1800s. And then fast forward to 1965, it was rejiggered and implemented by these two guys, Cooley and Tukey. One was out of IBM, the other was out of a Princeton lab at the time. And they were able to make it fast. They were able to take this existing fast math algo and make it a lot faster. And for whatever reason, up until today and currently still today, their version from 1965 is the legacy Rails that virtually every FFT still uses today. Not us, but the Rails that, similar to kind of like when you think of the Rails as airport reservations, airline reservations. People always talk about that as being like arcane technology from the 60s, and everyone's probably it kind of crashes and it causes a lot of havoc for the entire industry. Similarly, the legacy version of FFTs that are being used today are
and real quick, FFT, what's that stand for?
Stands for Fast Fourier Transform. I can certainly take you through what it is and examples and stuff. That's helpful for the audience too.
Well, yeah. So, excuse me, and yeah. So, if that leads to kind of my core question, which is, what is the differentiating offering that Veyra is bringing? Is it a adaptation of that FFT, or
it's a few things? Some I can speak to, and some I can't. But what I can speak to is we've taken Fourier type architecture and made some very innovative adjustments to it, so it can do two things very well. It can absorb a tremendous amount of data very quickly, and it can then spit out an output very, very quickly as well. And we find that the output it spits out is more accurate than outputs that were on the legacy FFT Rails.
Okay. What are some of the key problems that your clients have that you are solving?
Well,
what are the kind of clients that you're looking for? Maybe that's a better, easier way to say.
Well, let me take a quick step back if I could. Veyra is comprised of really two businesses. One is our internal, let's say, proprietary trading business, whereby we use fully autonomous futures trading algos to trade our own money, as well as the assets of investors that are on our cap table. Haven't yet opened that up to any outside investors. It may happen at some point. It may be something that we keep, just internal. So that's one part, and that's underpinned by my patents. So we have these fully autonomous trading solutions. They're all futures. They're futures futures strategies, gold futures, S&P futures, Dow futures, NASDAQ futures, and others as well. Where my patents come in, and this would be an opt-in, where they would come in would be for automatically allocating the strongest trade signal algo to a client's portfolio. So let's say JD, you were on our cap table, you were an investor, you had 100,000, 200,000, whatever the amount is, invested in our proprietary trading solutions. You initially invested in the gold futures because it looked very strong to you, but you opted in for this other automatic movement feature. That means you'll stay in the gold algo future strategy so long as it's got the strongest predictive trade signal. So long as the algo thinks that has the strongest chance of getting an edge, making money, predicting the next move, and allocating capital in accordance with that. And it could be an hour, it could be a day, it could be 3 days later. Maybe the strongest trade signal is for the Dow futures algo. And all of a sudden, you don't take any action. It's all done for you. It's your account residing in NinjaTrader, which is who we're currently using.
Okay.
Instead of having the gold algo monitor and run your account, all of a sudden the algo switches over to the Dow futures algo, and that manages you. It's tools for having the best chance of maximizing the performance of one's investment automatically, completely automatically.
Right.
No intervention. So yes, what it's solving for. In this case, what it's solving for is, we think, two things. I'm not making any promissory statements, but we have been fortunate to see strong performance figures, number one. And number two, we don't have to have the, let's say, very costly infrastructure that that hedge funds have, for example, where they're famously, the overhead between the data feeds and paying portfolio managers very, very, very well adds up. And we're wondering if there can be another model.
Right. Yeah. There's just no way that, I guess, if the assumption is that a human portfolio manager would make the same move given the same criteria, they just can't move as quickly and operate 24 hours a day like an AI can. Is that it?
That's our thinking. Yeah, that's our thinking. And obviously, nothing against them. That we're extraordinarily impressed with them. Many of them are massive inspirations for us.
Right.
And obviously, they've done a lot very, very, very right. We're just wondering if this sort of new world we're in, we wonder if there's another way of doing it that's also very, very effective. Cool.
Well, last little couple minutes here, we'll wrap up. Let's talk patents. Now it's 2026. What's kind of your mix in terms of, are you filing, or are you keeping a lot of this trade secret in-house, proprietary? What's your strategy?
It's a great question. So that's I talked about the prop side of the business. The other side of the business has to do with our proprietary FFT. That's what we're kind of going out to the marketplace with. We have let's say a two-pronged approach to that. We will be filing some process-related patents around the architecture itself, and we will be keeping, let's say, the special sauce, the black box, that would be secretive. So we want to have that two-pronged approach. I don't know that there's an ideal way to deal with something like this. We wouldn't want to patent all of it, because then it would just broadcast what we believe our differentiating edge to be. But we think the best way to do it is probably more of a hybrid approach.
Right. Well, that's great. And so you're going to be filing, so you're kind of in that risky pre-filing stage, as you know, still in the U.S. as of 10, 12 years ago, first to file does get the right. So you're kind of taking a bet that no one else files the same or a similar patent while you're waiting. Is there a reason why you're waiting strategically?
There is. It's not one that I can get into, but we believe what we have is quite differentiated. So we're, knock on wood, I think we're okay for the time.
Right. And you've been in the industry a while. You're very much on the cutting, bleeding edge of it. Well, thank you for sharing your time and for the history and kind of looking back over where you've been as well. So if we have any questions that come in over the next few days, can I direct them to your email?
Absolutely.
Are you willing to share your email with anybody that has questions?
Sure. You could share it. I'll share it. It's Z Green, ZGREEN at Veyra Holdings.ai. That's VEYRA Holdings, which is one word, .ai.
All right. Let's see if I got that right. I'm plugging it in here. Z Green at Veyra Holdings.ai.
That's correct.
Perfect. Cool. Well, thanks again for being an awesome guest and for sharing. We'll wish you the very best on your patent filings and upcoming continued success at Veyra.
Thanks, JD. I appreciated it. Appreciate your time. Take care, all. Bye-bye.
Go big, go bold at boldip.com.